All right, welcome everybody to another Game Vault podcast stream. I'm your host Mark, and still having green screen problems, so I apologize for all this. Again, it's definitely a lighting issue, or for some reason the screen's moving behind me, and I don't know how it's moving behind me to make this pulse in and out like this. But we'll work on it. Jen's got some lights that I think she has two of them, left and right. I only have this camera centered light, which you can see on my hand here, and then a light over here and then a light in the hallway behind me. So maybe I just need some more light on here. We'll see. I'll ask Jen for a recommendation on those lights. But anyway, we're here. Another week. I'm thinking, I'll get your opinion on this, both Night Duck and Metal Militia, if you're here. I'm thinking of moving, now that we're possibly going to be doing Podcast Prime, possibly once a month on Fridays. Then I might want to move the Game Vault to Sunday, the news hour to Sunday, just so I can make sure that any news that drops for some reason over a weekend, or it gives me a Saturday to play through a game a little bit to talk about it on the news hour, and not have to wait a whole another week to talk about it. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. All right, yeah. I just wanted to make sure that Sunday nights were not a problem. I'm thinking of doing that just because the problem it would cause is we're trying for consistency in 2025 for things which can be hard since this isn't our full-time jobs, is that if we're going to be doing Podcast Prime on Fridays, like once a month, then I would need to move the news hour once a month to Sunday, and it would just get confusing because it would be a different... because we're not going to be really timely with Podcast Prime. So it's going to be whenever in the month we're available. And then I will make it come out once a month, So, yeah. Still working on that. But I think Sunday nights will work better just because I've noticed a lot when I'm doing the opening segment. I'll be like, hey, I'm going to try this game over the weekend. I'll let you know next week. And it's a whole week... of an opinion on a new game that you might want it to know right away. So, yeah, we'll work on it and see how it goes. A lot of new things coming in on New Year. I think Tom's coming back to streaming at some point soon, so there'll be another night for that. But yeah. Besides that, we're knee deep into Game of the Year stuff. I am playing through a lot of things right now. So that's part of the reason why Friday, why Friday moved, and also why there was no Etern Night stream on Saturday. I'm working through GOTY stuff, and also in real life there was a college football game that I went out and watched with people. So I actually did IRL stuff when I would normally be streaming. I would rather be streaming, if you know what game I'm talking about. But yeah, so yeah, that's why I think Sundays might work better. It'll open Friday, so we don't have to screw up the schedule and stuff like that. But anyway, what I've been playing, let's go through the one game or two. I'll talk about Etern Nights too, but I think I've only played one game on stream since we last spoke. We'll start with that. We got Sonic 3. So here's the thing. Sonic 3, good game. I still prefer Sonic 2. I think Sonic 2 is the best of those first three on the Genesis. But this game looks great. It has some things that maybe I should look up the controls to see if there is a mechanic I'm missing that would make some of these things easier. Nothing has been like stopping me in this, but we got stuck on one boss for a little bit, and that was only because I had to look up exactly. I couldn't figure out what was damaging him or how to damage him. I didn't know if I needed to be. He has this little part that comes off and then bounces around the level, and I thought you needed to be on top of it to crash it into him. But all you have to do is sort of, it was the opposite. You have to sort of bring the, what's it called? the thing to him, to the spinny top thing. I'm gonna bring this up. I don't care if it's a little too green. That was just bothering me. It was going way too black. So yeah, it would open up, and it'd be electrified, and then the thing would hit into it. And if the only way it opened up was if you were under it or nearby. So essentially, you had to drag it and sort of position it. And the other thing was destroying the floor, and you had to defeat it before it destroyed the whole floor. So we figured that out, but I had to look it up to see exactly what the concept was, and it literally took me 5 seconds. I went, oh, okay. I was 95% of the way there. The 5% was figuring out that I was focusing on the wrong thing. So we got through that, and then I think I got to the end of Carnival Nights Act 2. I think I died on the boss or close to it. Oh, no. What happened was we had to use a save state. I forgot about this, and you'll see it today. It just popped in my head. We got soft locked. I went into a wall that I guess is supposed to take you to where one of those rings are to go into the spearball world, and we couldn't get out. I literally got stuck in this little space. I could jump and move around in it, but I couldn't go to the left to where I think the giant ring was, and I couldn't back out. So we literally had to sit there for 4 minutes. I think it's 4 minutes game time, like real time, and just wait for the time to expire. So yeah, that was interesting. So we did that, and now we're gonna start. I save stated because I had like 2 or 3 lives left in Act 2 there, and that was the end of the stream. So I didn't want to, keep going and then, be way over time, because we're only supposed to do that an hour. That is part of the challenge. But I'm still enjoying it. We'll get through it just like we did with Mario 2 and all that. It'll take us a bit maybe, but we will definitely get through it. And then Etern Nights, I think we're getting, like I said, to the middle part of the game, just by going from objectives that was on there. So you would have to say we're about at that point. I think we got almost all of our characters except for one, which we should be getting soon. But I'm really enjoying that game. So I was slightly upset, especially the way the football game turned out, for me to not be able to stream on Saturday. But we'll be there on this Saturday. Will we? Is it this? This Saturday is 14th, so no. Maybe I'll move that to Sunday. I think the next 2 Saturdays I have holiday parties. So we may need to move. Maybe I'll move that to Friday and do the news hour on Sunday. That might actually work. I'll keep you updated. I think that might be what we'll do with Etern Nights. Etern Nights move to Friday the next 2 weeks. And then we'll go back to Saturday on the 28th. But outside of that, I misread something and thought we would be able to talk about 2 new games that I've been playing this week that are going to be part of my game of the year. But I saw all the reviews and all the videos and all the hype for Indiana Jones, and I thought it released on Friday. But that was the early access period. The game releases on Tuesday. So I thought I'd be able to talk to you about the most anticipated indie game of the year, and let you know whether the positives or negatives are correct. I deserve that, boo, Night Duck. I've seen a whole lot of high positives. The one real middling to negative that I saw was from Kind of Funny, which kind of funny, in that it was Greg Miller who gave the review. And for those of you that are any much in tune with dumbass console war stuff, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is an Xbox game. Comes out on Game Pass and all that stuff. And Greg Miller is very famously, if you're in the world of content creation and games journalism from back in the day, was part of the PlayStation team at IGN when they were there. And he had a PlayStation podcast on his Kind of Funny thing, so he's done a lot of PlayStation stuff. So the fact that he's the one notable 6.5 out of 10 for this game is just kind of funny. In that I don't think he did that because he's anti-Xbox or anything. He may have really felt that way. And he does 100%. I don't think he would do anything shade. I don't know the man, so I'm not 100% sure on this. But it's just kind of funny because I think it was me and Tom were talking about console war stuff. And this came out the next day after that, and I just laughed at it. But I'm excited to see if Indiana Jones is as good as what 9 out of 10 reviewers that I trust say that it is really good. But a main game I've been playing, which I did not expect to put on my Game of the Year list because it is a long game, but in the means of shopping around Black Friday, I picked up Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth because it was on sale, like physical copy for like $30 or something somewhere. I forget where I got it online. And I was also buying something else for my nieces from the same shop. So I just picked them up together. And it was like, I was like, all right, I have this now. So I've been playing an awful lot of that. The game's really good. Just like the last one. I'm only 3 chapters in, and I should finish it by the end of the year. Knock on wood, because I'm going to have a lot of time off coming up to just sink days into it. I haven't decided if I'm going to go back out and play it after this podcast or if I'll play my other game that I've been playing, which I'll talk about next, while I'm sitting here at the computer. But the main thing that has I actually started another 100-hour. I was having this conversation. So Night Duck in the chat, for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, join us live on Twitch if you want to see and be involved in the chat and see the live video and see my gorgeous face. Said, oops, I accidentally started another 100-hour RPG, which has been my life recently. But I was having a conversation with a friend of the podcast, Kitty Ashcat, or I should say the podcast's favorite niece. And she's really big into Marvel Rivals since that came out. Like, so much so that we're trying to figure out, because the current GPU she has is just above the minimum recommended. And I had a plan to upgrade my GPU and give her mine, which is a 3060. And I might maybe even just get another 3060 for me, and if I can find it cheap enough. And but I think it'll only be like $100 difference between upgrading and buying a 3060. So I'll probably just upgrade. But anyway, that's not here. That's a conversation down the line, probably podcast prime conversation. So everything else she has, her CPU's fine, her RAM's fine, and all. She's having some trouble probably with the GPU being low. And she's not a complainer. So we haven't heard too much, but she's trying to figure out all the things. So she was telling me all the games she's into. She's playing that. She seems to be really into multiplayer shooters. That's not Call of Duty. Like she plays Lethal League. She plays Siege is probably her second biggest game now behind Marvel Rivals. She doesn't play Fortnite anymore. She says Fortnite's boring. And she, what was the other game we were making sure ran well? Valorant. She plays some Valorant. So she is skewing in that online multiplayer, which I did not ever, because we were on the cusp of, when online multiplayer became a big thing, that you either went one way or the other in our generation, or you did both, but normally it was a split. So she's definitely erring that way. So I was saying to her, she was like, "Oh man, I've already played 36 hours of Rivals. That's a lot of time." And I'm like, "Babe, I just finished a 110-hour RPG, and it was my second one of the year. And she was like, holy God. So it's pretty funny that I have picked up another 100-hour RPG this year, which would make 3. 4, actually, because Persona 3 is almost 100 hours. I think we were at 80 or 90 when we ended. So I'm like 4 in this calendar year alone. Oh, man. Yeah, she's been playing it. Yeah, 36 hours is a lot. Yeah, she played it. She was playing it when I got there today to help her with something because she needed to upgrade her graphics card, update her graphics card, and she didn't know how to do that. So I showed her how to do it, and now she knows how to do it. But yeah, she's like, I've been playing this game constantly all weekend and played it last week, and she was like, yeah. She also could have been exaggerating a little bit, but it was definitely. She's definitely been playing it a lot because she has leveled up 3 characters a good bit and already has a main. So yeah, she's definitely been in that thing a lot recently. So yeah. So I picked up Infinite Wealth. And 3 chapters in, and what this game does in the opening chapter might be one of my favorite ways of doing a sequel. So I'm not going to spoil events of Like a Dragon, Yakuza 7, which is Like a Dragon. They finally, because Like a Dragon is the Japanese name, so they finally, it would be like Resident Evil changing its name to Biohazard. Is essentially what they've done with this. So, the end of, at the end of every, at the end of every Yakuza or anything, it's like a happy ending. You might have a couple threads that hang around that they could bring into another game. There were some things still hanging around that they sort of let you know what happened or may be involved later in the story. But they figured out a way to do the thing that all RPGs do, where it's like, oh man, we got to get them back into wanting to go back out there, like a sequel to an RPG, which is what most RPGs, which Final Fantasy never really did sequels. You need a reason for the party to go back out, and the way they do it in the first 2 chapters is, especially the first chapter, is almost perfect. Like, it ties in exactly to the character that Ichiban is. And his lack of what's the word? Was naivety is the main characters of him, but his just aloofness, sort of just not connected to anything that he's not personally doing. So he doesn't really know what's going on in the outside world, and that was true in both in the first game and this game. So they tie that in, and then and that is the inciting incident that sort of sparks them on their adventure that they're on now. So that was really, really good, and I'm really excited to follow it from here. So we'll be giving you updates each and every week, and then you'll definitely hear about it on the what's it called? Game of the Year podcast in January. The one thing that I'm worried about, thinking of my list, is where it's going to fall. Because there's a very good chance that it could knock Rebirth down, and it could possibly end up at number 1 if it's as good as the first one. So this is that end of the year out of nowhere game that has been around for a while, but that I didn't think I was going to play and get in time. Might shake up everything. Like I said, I know my top 5 or 6 at this point will definitely be some combination of Metaphor, Rebirth, Infinite Wealth, Balatro, and Persona 3. And college football is 7th, but that would have probably not been in. Yeah, I'll probably pick that up too. The 1,000 times resist is what Night Duck put in the chat for the audio listeners out there. So I'll probably pick that up at some point. I got Indie. Indie might end up. NCAA might fall to like 8, and it's the game I played the most hours. It could end up being the game I played the most hours in, despite playing 300-hour RPGs. Because I've played that game constantly since July. Like 2-3 hour chunks multiple times a week. And sometimes whole days of just playing seasons. Like in NCAA, I think I've won 6 of the last 7 or 7 of the last 8 national championships. So, yeah, it'll be funny. My list is getting exciting. I'm excited that I'm going to have some thoughts for my top 5, at least. So, which leads me into Balatro. I have beat that game with 3 decks now, and my goal is, like, I played enough of that game to know it's in my top 5, 100%. That game is addictive, and I bought it for the wrong system. I bought it for my PC because it was on sale on PC when I was picking up the DLC for American Truck Simulator that came out. So I grabbed it there. And Life is Strange is going to be in my top list anyway. Jesus. Unless it falls off a cliff in the final 4 chapters. But yeah, the game, as I explained, I went through the whole thing last week. The game is very much you figuring out the meta, I think is what the terminology would be, in that when you play hands of poker, usually, there are certain levels and you always look to try to get those real high, like straights and flushes and straight flushes and 4 of a kinds and stuff like that. But the way the game plays out, the jokers you get, the upgrades you get, you start playing differently, and once you figure that out, the game changes. And it's so beautifully done. And I only have a problem with like 2 of the bosses because I don't know how to counter them yet. 2 of the boss blinds. One is every face card is dealt face down, so you don't know what it is. I think there's a joker, because there's a joker to counteract every boss joker I found. I think there's a joker out there that counts every face card, whether it's part of a like a hand. Like, you can just throw face cards up there, and if it's high card, it'll count every single one of those face cards there, even if it's just high card. And no pairs and no anything like that. I think that's the counter to it, but I haven't seen that joker in a while. And then there's another one that your first hand is face down. I've beaten that recently, but I don't really like it because it takes the strategy away a little bit to me. Because you build up all this strategy and all of a sudden it throws that boss at you and you're like, it can end a run. Do complete randomness, which the rest of the game, there's always a reason why you lose the game, and not just because cards are dealt face down. But yeah, maybe I'm complaining about something that's very much a cool part of the game, but I didn't really like that. But I have enjoyed all of my time with that game. So, yeah, that's been it. That's what we've been playing. We'll be talking about Indie next week, along with more Infinite Wealth. And, I don't think it'll be for next week's podcast, Jonathan. I have a lot going on this week. But I might pick up 1,000 Times Resist next weekend and play it the week of the 16th. through there. So, yeah, it's getting to that time of the year where it's any of my free time is, which is why you might see the YouTube channel erratically putting up videos, just because a lot of my free time is dealt with trying to get as much of these games done for Game of the Year, and also work and outside engagements. So, all right, without further ado, let me make sure that this is ready to go. And we'll switch on over to yeah, you have the schedule with a kid as well. I do not have that factor in there. But if it's about 10 hours, then I can probably get it done by the end of the year too. All right, so first story here, probably a slightly sad one for Night Duck. But Elden Ring 2 not being considered a From Software, Miyazaki says. He says that we're not really considering developments such as an Elden Ring 2. From is open to returning to the franchise in some form in the future, but all the works in progress are the projects in development as works in progress at the moment, but diverse in genre. With that, this is terribly written, IGN. With some directed by Miyazaki himself. So, it could be they could go back to a that's true. They're going to be still making action games. But yeah, this could be their that's true. That's true. They did say they weren't going to make any more Dark Souls games, and then they made Elden Ring, which is better than Dark Souls. Or which people like more than Dark Souls. So maybe it'll go back. They, like it says in the story, they have Armored Core as a project that's theirs. Maybe they go back to that. Maybe they do something completely new, which would be more exciting for me. I like when developers try new things. That's essentially why Hi-Fi Rush was one of my favorite games of last year, because Tango Gameworks tried something different and hit a home run with it, in my opinion. So maybe they go for something like that. Maybe they go something like same genre as Armored Core in like a mech sort of way instead of a high fantasy thing. Maybe Bloodborne 2. Nobody asked about Bloodborne. Just some news there for those of you guys wanting Elden Ring 2. It does not look like that is in the works or coming at least anytime soon. Maybe the powers that be at From or whatever the parent company is, which is a large multimedia company, might want to go, hey, you know that game you sold a ton and made a lot of money on? Why don't you make that one again? But they seem to be hands off in that respect. So we'll see what happens. All right. Fun thing that got announced or got dropped into an update was the PS5. You can do the boot ups for PS1, PS2, PS3, and PS4. Menu themes, boot ups, and all that. It's kind of a real fun thing they've added in to celebrate the 30th anniversary. The unfortunate thing is they are all limited. I'm probably going to test mine out when I get off here, just to make sure I can hear them all before, because I don't have much of a reason to play PlayStation outside of return nights. So if this is like only for a couple weeks or a month, I'd rather check it out now. But yeah, it's okay. It's okay, baby girl. So, you can do whichever one you want. I've only seen video for the PS1, which was pretty cool and nostalgic for this. So if you have a PS5 and it's updated recently, you will, if I remember correctly, and I'll test it on my thing, if you've done the update, once it restarts and updates, it will do the PS1 upgrade automatically, since that is what's the 30th anniversary, and then you can go in and test out the other ones. So if you haven't turned on your PS5 recently, maybe it's a reason to go do so. It's kind of fun. And moving on, another game shutting down, XDefiant, another live service shooter. Ubisoft is discontinuing it in 2025. I believe they have stopped all purchases and cut stuff like that, but the server will stay up till June, if I read this correctly. And they are shutting down the studios, sort of involved with it. So again, another layoff and another, project, for shooting live service after Concord and a bunch of other things. Haven't really, it's such a, I guess the best word would be, such a saturated market, for this type of game. All these were made when Overwatch were big. That's when they went into development, and I guess they just pushed them through, even when Overwatch 2 flopped. But, on the other hand, Marvel Rivals, we'll see in a story coming up, seems to be doing perfectly fine, doing the same type of thing. So maybe it was just, they didn't bring anything new to the table. And also Marvel Rivals has the advantage of being free to play right off the bat, and didn't have to convert to it or start out purchased and then go free to play, which is what I think Overwatch 2 did, or maybe it was Destiny 2, or one of them did. So yeah. So so the XDefiant, if you are playing it, just know you have until June. The servers, new downloads and player registrations will no longer be available. We will still release our Season 3 content, and the servers will remain active until June 3rd. For those of you that purchased the Ultimate Founders Pack, you will receive a full refund. Players who made any purchases within the last 30 days will also be refunded. Those refunds should happen automatically within 8 weeks of today, and you can find more details on xdefiant.com. Yep, so look into that if you have played it, or purchased anything like that. You should be getting some money back. But yeah, another one bites the dust, as they say. And moving on to another one of those, Marvel Rivals launched to huge Steam concurrence. It had 440,000 concurrent players on Steam alone. And I think my niece is playing through Epic, or I don't think it is through Steam that she's playing. So, yeah, it's, this one seemed to hit. It's got, from what I've seen, the season kicks off with 33 heroes, all available to play for free, 8 maps, competitive modes, a whole bunch of stuff. Doom's Rise serves as the opening chapter. So there are Twitch drops. So they seem to hit this really perfectly, in terms of and circling back, going through all this stuff, Night Dog in the chat says, FromSoft is a good comparison. They have a stellar track record because they let the teams make what they want to make instead of chasing fads, which is going back to what I said about everybody trying to be Overwatch. And they don't fire everyone after each game, so they're able to improve with each game, which that's a big thing. I don't think I've ever brought up on here, but I could put 2 and 2 together. With that, when you lay off a bunch of people between games, you have to hire new people and retrain them in everything, and then they have to get a feel for everything, so sequels don't always feel the same. So the fact that FromSoft mostly has the same teams together is why all their games feel great. They can improve what they made mistakes on or didn't have the power to do in terms of what they were releasing on, and that is a big reason why their games always succeed. And same with Yakuza. RGG does basically the same thing, and that's why all the games improve from game to game. I think the only one that ever got complaints, and I haven't gotten to it yet, is Yakuza 5. Is the longest of them and has like a really, really slow middle part that is usually rare for those games. There's usually, when the game opens up and slows down a bit, they tend to give you a mini game or something to, while you're getting through some of the slower parts of a chapter. But yeah, I think 5's the only one anyone ever complained about, which is why everybody loved 6 so much when it came out. And as Night Duck says in the chat, Ubisoft said, we are going to learn from XDeviant to improve our live service division, but laid everybody off. That learned from XDeviant. So who exactly is learning? You guys are going to hire people that will have no experience in this, unless you hire other people that have been laid off from live service games. And he says, and the lesson visible to everyone is stop trying to do live service, which is kind of true. I think Marvel Rivals is the exception in this, for at least the beginning here, because they rolled it out correctly. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if it keeps up this momentum, and see what the next big fad is that everybody keeps chasing. Speaking of sort of live servicey games, Square Enix reveals Foam Stars next season will be its last, but the game will remain online. So they're essentially doing the thing where they're not really giving you any more updates to the game, or, but they're going to just keep it online for people to play there. So this is, I guess, a third side of the coin, if we have a three-sided coin, in that, they're going to, keep it up, yeah, but just not, they'll probably keep doing security updates maybe, or maybe not at all. But the server will still be up so they can keep playing it. So if you're a Foam Stars person, you'll still be able to play it. You just won't be getting any real new content ever again for it. So yeah, this again was a thing I said I had complete no memory of it. No memory of it coming out. I remember talking about it, I think, at the Game Awards we did last year, or my recap of the Game Awards, because it was one of the games on there, and one of the trailers, or in one of the hype reels or something, and just completely missed when it was released, which was the beginning of this year. So, yeah. Yeah, so, it debuted at a peak of 697 concurrents on Steam, and that was, less than the Suicide Squad thing. So, that's the Square Enix marketing magic. They can drop a AAA game without anyone knowing that it happened. Yeah, like, literally, I think it was on a podcast earlier, like a month or two ago, they announced something with Foam Stars, or Foam Stars was mentioned in something, and I went, oh, that game came out, and it said 8 months ago, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess, awesome, because I did remember it from us talking about it coming out, but then I heard nothing in the game spaces that I dive into. I don't think I saw anything on, like, maybe I skew older in terms of who I pay attention to, but, nothing from, Nextland or nothing. I don't think I saw anything kind of funny, which is weird with it being a Sony product. Not doing a console war thing, but they usually jump on a lot of Sony stuff. I don't remember anything from Gersman. I don't remember anything from a bunch of the people I listen and watch. So it's kind of one of those things that just. Whoo. But thankfully, if you are playing it, you'll still be able to play it, unlike Concord and X Defiant. All right, we'll finish up the show with our normal thing of announcing new things coming to streaming. Nintendo Switch Online, which we don't feature much on this show because they don't usually announce anything cool, but they are adding some Donkey Kong stuff to the Nintendo Switch Online. They added the Game Boy Donkey Kong Land 3 and to the Game Boy. And I think this is the third of the 3 that they put on there. So it's cool that they finished this trilogy on the Nintendo Switch Online. And yeah, this is it's cool. All this reminds me is that I'm probably I'm gonna go in and lower my subscription. I have the expanded pass, but I have not played one of those games that anytime I go in to play Nintendo Switch Online at all, if I do, is to play Nintendo and Super Nintendo games. And now that I have a Mister, I don't really need to do that either on my main screen. So, yeah. Yeah, so the only reason I'll keep it online is just in case if I'm like over my nieces or, with somebody that's like, hey, I'd like to play some classic stuff, and I brought my Switch for some other reason, and we can hook it up and play that stuff there. So if you're into Donkey Kong, you got all 3 lands now, Donkey Kong, for the Game Boy on there. Next up, Amazon, which is surprisingly, me and Tom noticed this because we've been kind of ignoring it. Kind of been putting some decent games on the free, their free game list. For December, looking at this list, I immediately see that Overcooked 2 and Call of Juarez are 2 games. I'm like, oh, okay. Sort of, awesome. They're available now. And then you see this, like, I've already seen these out because I've been through my GOG recently for this. Quake 2 is going to be on there. It was just really weird. It's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, they're putting like 1 or 2 good free games a month that you're downloading the codes from GOG. Like, yeah. It's like, you could have gotten these cheap elsewhere, but it's just like, oh, yeah, pretty cool. I mean, I do the Humble Bundle choice thing, which has got me some really good games. I think it got me Marvel Midnight Suns for free at one point. Well, not free. I'm paying, $10 a month for, for that. But, which might be a subscription I'll stop soon. Anyway, because I don't play any of the games on there. But, yeah, if you have Prime, perfectly reasonable. Because most of the time, the reason you have Prime is for the shipping, which is becoming less... because I think they're finding ways to not give you 2-day free shipping on a lot of things anymore. But most people have Prime for that. And if you're a gamer, these games pop up here for free and you can just download them on GOG. So it's like a bonus, for that. And me and Tom didn't really realize that they were putting anything of worth on there. That even if it's just Overcooked, like 1 game on this, because I'm already getting Prime. I mean, if I get 1 extra game a month for doing it, awesome. And next up here is our Game Pass games for the Wave 1 in November. I'll go through the list quickly here. We have Crash Team Racing, Nitro Fueled. That's for your Ultimate, Standard, and Core people. DayZ is now for Core people. I'm going to say this as if you know your Game Pass thing and not need to explain it every single time. Because every month I explain and I get more confused, and just go look it up, know which one you have, and then figure it out. Ghost Simulator with Core. Forza Motorsport is with Standard. I think that's Haunty is with Standard. Humanity Standard. EA Sports WRC, which I believe is a racing game, is Ultimate and PC. Overthrown, Ultimate and PC. Those games are all out as of right now. They came out on the 4th and the 5th. So be sure if you want any of those games, go ahead and download them. Indiana Jones comes out on tomorrow. Because today's the 8th. So tomorrow on the 9th. Wild Frost on the 10th. Ultimate and PC for both of those. Charon, Ultimate PC Standard on January 2nd. And Road 96, Ultimate PC Standard on January 7th. So, yeah. There's a whole bunch of games leaving as well. I didn't bring that one up here because I can actually just pop it over onto a tab here. Because sometimes that's not as fun. So, Xbox Game Pass, Amnesia, The Bunker, Forager, Forza Horizon 4, which is weird. Maybe they want you to just play 5. The Quarry, Tin Hearts, Rainbow Billy, The Curse of the Leviathan, and Rise of the Tomb Raider, which is the only one on here that affects me because I was having a playthrough of it before everything came out, so maybe I'll just have to buy it really cheap at some point. So just game for PC Game Pass, all the ones I mentioned. There was not a new one there. The Quarry is exclusive for just Game Pass, and not PC. So, yeah. Yeah, so that's everything. I think we did the PlayStation ones last week. So yeah, that's all the games. If you have these services and looking to pick up games for free. If you do have Game Pass, from everything I'm reading, you should 100% at least try Indiana Jones and The Great Circle. It's worth trying out. It's like Black Ops 6, where everybody's like, campaign's good. Try it. If you don't like it, then just don't download it if you have, uninstall it if you have Game Pass. But yeah, so that'll do it for our show. Like I said, house cleaning at the end here. We're still raising money for Extra Life through the end of the year. You can go to tinyurl.com/extralifeyear9. That's tinyurl.com/extralifeyear9. That's the number 9 on there. We got over $1,000, so I'm setting up my time to play Phasmophobia with Jen. Yay. And then we're going to be doing... we may not end up doing this, but we're trying to find a time to get together to do Jackbox. Because that's the one thing we did not do this year. But with everybody in the group... thank you, Metal Militia. With everyone in the group having children... either recently or for a while there, or had them earlier in the year, or have 2, or older kids. It's, hard. I'm the only one that I can work around any other schedule. So, we're trying to get that together. So be on the lookout. Maybe it's something we do in January or something. But the thing that is definitely happening for Extra Life, the last piece of Extra Life stuff is... Sorry, I'm looking off camera. I'm reading, so I make sure I get this correct. So December 31st, I am streaming. We're going to be doing our Fuser thing at like 11, leading into 11:30 before Countdown. I might do Countdown. I might do 11:30 and just go into the Countdown. Depends on how I'm feeling with that. But before that, I'm definitely streaming for a few hours before then. I have 3 ideas I'll bring them all to you now, and I will also mention them next week and throughout all my closings to streams, but it will be on the next 3 podcasts. Um, I have BizHawk set up to do a Mega Man damage run, and I was planning on just doing the NES games and just seeing how far I can get in all of them. I'm going to write out a cheat sheet for who's weak to what, so that I can, you know, reference it. And also there's a whole setup thing where I can tell you what games, how many swaps, kind of fun. They do a great thing for that. Got files for that to add to OBS specifically. The other one I thought of was doing a timed shuffler, which means like I was going to do every 5 to 12 minutes, where I switch between, it was going to be Zelda specific. So like switch between, my first thought was to do a vanilla Link to the Past run and a randomizer and have it switch back and forth between them. Yeah, every 420 seconds. Yeah, that'd be good. But yeah, and there'd be a countdown timer I could add and all that. We could have fun with that. Maybe I could do multiple randomizers. I don't know. We can just have fun with it and play for a few hours. I'm thinking 5 to 8 hours, depending on what my day is looking like, for New Year's for that. And then the third idea was to do a mixture of that same idea with the every 420 seconds thing, and just have it be a mixture of the games. Exactly 7 minutes, yeah. So, which is kind of the middle of what I was looking for, but just do a mixture of games. Maybe take all the retro roulette games that I've played this year, and throw them into the shuffler and have to play all of them and see how far we can get over a set amount of time. So yeah, which means that Mario 2 is not getting beaten because I can't cheat in terms of a save state. But like throw a Donkey Kong in there, throw, Yoshi's Island, throw a, what's it called? All those games that I played this year and to completion, in there. And just have fun with it and just see where it goes. Yeah, so those are my ideas. I'm thinking through which one is better. I think I'm leaning towards the last two more than the Mega Man because I'm not really great at Mega Man, so I don't know how fun it would be watching me struggle between damage shufflers. I'm not great at not taking damage, so that might just be a lot of switching going on in that game. So, but I'll discuss it with the board offline and just see what they think. But yeah, that's gonna be the 31st. I'm gonna have a long mini marathon stream, and then we'll finish it off with Fuser from 11:30 to midnight. So yeah. It's when you play, it's mediocre, man. That's pretty good. That's a good burn. I like that. It's a real good burn. But yeah, so those are my ideas. If you're on Blue Sky, send it over to our Blue Sky, gameballpod.bluesky.app, I believe is how the thing. Just search for us on Blue Sky. We're there. Let us know which one of those 3 you want. If you want me to do Zelda Madness, which could be like 3 randomizers that I have to keep track of, which could be fun, or all the retro roulette games, playing them, switching back and forth between them randomly, or the Mega Man damage shuffler. My original thing was to do the retro roulette thing, but have it be a damage shuffler. But looking at everything, it looks like I'd have to code that myself. Take the code for the damage shuffler. Yeah, or I could do an archipelago thing. That could be what we do. Like the Zelda thing's just up in the air. I'm just trying to figure it out. I had ideas of throwing the first 3 games into one, and just seeing what that would be like. But yeah, we can work on the Zelda thing. Yeah, you'd have to, code the hell out of doing damage shufflers for anything that's not Mega Man. They give a whole tutorial on how to do it, but I'm looking at it, I'm like, I've not had to do this stuff since back when I was running stuff on DOS, and this is all Greek to me. And it would take way too long for me to learn. And I did not want to damage things on my computer or my ROMs or anything like that. So those are the three choices: Mega Man Damage Shuffler, Zelda Craziness, or Retro Roulette Shuffler. So one of those three. Yeah. We'll figure it out what to do in terms of that stuff. But yeah, I was leaning Zelda anyway. But yeah, those were the three ideas. So yeah, and we'll figure something. Maybe I'll have like multiple randomizers and throw one of the other games in there. It just have to be fuck. Now I'm playing Zelda 1. I'm playing Zelda 2. I forgot where I am. It'd be fun. I'd have fun with it. So, anyway, let me go before I lose my voice anymore, because before the stream, I got up to go get something to drink and then come back in here, and then I forgot to bring the drink back in here. So I've been talking for an hour without taking a drink. So I am starting to get a little hoarse. So thank you for joining me. It's been fun as always, and we'll see you tonight if you're listening to this for Sonic 3. For those of you listening live, we'll see you tomorrow. And then we'll be back later. Yep, hydrate. We'll see you next time. Bye!